Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, and today's video is a very important and very informative video. So recently, well not recently anymore, it was July, I actually done a box swap with Amber, which is Tink and Pink Heels, and unfortunately I received 2 fake products. I've already done a review and real versus fake on the MAC lipstick, and I thought today I would do a real versus fake nude tude palette. Unfortunately, both of the products that Amber bought me were fake, and it's not an issue. I think the feeling was, you know, I thought I had something that was real and it wasn't, so I went and bought the reals myself. However, I just thought I'd film this little video to show you the differences in the packaging and just some little things that I sort of tried to figure out by myself whether it was a real or fake product before I went to the store to see the real product for sure. It doesn't really matter, it's not the end of the world, you know, I'm not too worried by it. I just thought that I would do this video to inform you guys. Obviously Amber wants the palette back so she can retain her money, so obviously I'm going to send her the palette back now that I've done this video, and all is well. So I want to talk about the first visual difference, and the first visual difference is the fact that the fake is very much more fainter than the real. This is the real and the picture is more crisp and clean, and definitely just a lot more brighter. In terms of the writing, everything seems to be the same on the actual packaging from my knowledge. However, if I remember rightly, the fake nude is slightly bigger than the real word nude. So without getting technical in terms of how much bigger, but this is definitely a lot bigger than the actual real one. This tends to look like a photocopy and just obviously a copy of the real, but maybe interpreted in their own way slightly. Okay, so this bit was a lot harder to notice any differences. The first obvious difference is the nude here is written in pink and the nude here is written in orange, so that's the first obvious difference. In terms of the actual colours themselves on the packaging, these ones on the fake are obviously a lot fainter than the ones on the real, but there is barely any difference in it whatsoever. Obviously the brush stands out a bit more on the real one with the black handle and everything. They have literally nailed it to a T because the serial codes are exactly the same. I'm not even joking you, they are spot on the same. Although this fake one is wider in the actual code itself, the numbers are identical. I'm not even joking you, they are spot on the same. I just want to say that these palettes are both in slips. So obviously this is the fake one, and here is the palette underneath, and this is the real one, but this ain't coming out without me using 2 hands. I can't slide this out on its own, which is obviously another good sign that it's a real one because the packaging is a lot more of a better quality. Okay, so we're back onto the front packaging again, but we've now taken the palettes out of the slips, and in terms of size there isn't much difference, but clearly the slip on the fake one is a lot bigger than the slip on the real one, which is why the fake one comes out of its packaging a lot easier. The first obvious difference again is this one is very much faded and this one is more crisp and clean. And if we look on the back, I believe everything is pretty much the same. However, there is one difference, and that is it has a little security sort of code thing here, which it doesn't have on the fake one. And the colours again, this one is more pink and the nude, and this one is more orangey. But other than that, you really wouldn't know that this was a fake product. But the thing that really got me going about whether this was a real or fake product was the actual products inside. So here we have the palettes open, and on the left here is the real one, and on the right is the fake one. In terms of looking at the palette itself, looking at it like this, you would not believe that there is a real one and a fake one. I will give these manufacturers credit where it's due. They have made an absolutely outstanding copy. However, it's when I came to have a look closely at the colours in the fake palette that I then understood that it was a fake palette. Now, if we want to get picky and pedantic, this is the whole point on this video, is being a bit picky and a bit pedantic. The first really picky thing I want to mention is the brush in the real palette did not come with a packaging. So I repeat, that didn't come with a packaging. The writing on this brush is pink. And the tab here is very much finished off quite nicely, and there's no phrase to it whatsoever. And just as we're on the subject near the brush area, if you look underneath the brush area, there is 2 women's feet popping out. Sounds really silly, I know. And then if we look over here on the fake one, the writing again on the brush is pink. However, it did come in this clear packaging. And if we look under here, you can literally just see toes that are coming out of the brush sort of holder. And this is very much long and frayed. Now, if you can see here on the standoffish colour, the writing is nearly like in the pan. The same with sultry and selfish and stubborn. All of the boxes are sort of imprinted within the pans. So they're not very well sort of put together, in my opinion. And then if we look on the real one here, you can tell by just me scanning over the colours that the difference in the colours, but everything sits on top of the writing quite nicely. I know it sounds silly, and it really is silly, but it took me a long time to figure out whether this palette was real or fake, in all honesty. It did take me a very long time, but it was quite apparent and quite clear when I looked at the 2 palettes side by side together and the colour payoff. So without further ado, let's get into what you probably came over to see, and that is the swatches on the real versus fake. So this is the shade Sassy, and the left one corresponds with the real palette and the right one corresponds with the fake palette. And the colour payoff on the real one is so beautiful and so pretty, and it would be a perfect inner corner highlight. However, I found with the fake one it was really hard to pick up the product on my finger to even swatch it, and as you can see, although it is slightly shimmery, the colour payoff is not as great as the real one. So we're now onto the shade Snobby, and the real one again is on the left, and it's a really pretty, subtle, gorgeous gold colour. And on the fake one, if you can see it there, it's more like an orangey colour. I mean, the glitter in it is glittery and it is shimmery, as the palette should be. However, the colour in terms of how it's supposed to look is very much off. It's more of an orangey colour. Moving on to Stubborn here, the real one is on the left as normal and the right one is on the right. As you can see, the colour again is totally off compared to the real. Both are very pretty colours, I'm not going to deny that, but in terms of pigmentation and colour payoff, the real one obviously wins again. This is Standoffish, and I absolutely adore this colour. You should have seen my reaction when I swatched this. This is so pretty, guys. It really is. And the fake one really didn't stand a chance there. Unfortunately, that's like 5 swipes of eyeshadow there, and I still have barely got a whimper of colour. It's such a shame because it's such a gorgeous colour, and oh yes, I could definitely fall in love with that one, guys. Also, I thought it'd be worth a mention. The real one is more of like a peachy, goldy colour, whereas the fake one is more of a pinky colour in person. It's really hard to capture it on camera, but if you have the fake, you may understand what I mean. And if you have both, you will definitely be able to figure out where I'm coming from there. This colour is so pretty though, guys. I really am impressed. Moving on, we're now on to Selfish, and again, picking up the product on the fake pan was really hard. As you can see there, I think there's like 3 swipes on there. You can see where the big sort of clumps are at the top of my hand where I've tried to disperse of the colour. On the real one swipe, and look at that gorgeous sort of olive gunmetal colour. It's again a very stunning colour. The fake one, sorry, although the colour payoff isn't great, the colour itself is again a really pretty colour, but it's off from the real. If you bought this palette and it didn't have a name on it, if you bought this palette, the fake one, it didn't have a name on it, I think you guys would be very much impressed with the colours. I just don't think you'd be impressed with the colour payoff or the pigmentation in some of them. Just picking up the product seemed really hard work. So we're now onto Sultry, and to be honest, the colours pretty much are identical. However, the real one is a little bit more darker in terms of colour. The payoff on both of them was pretty much the same. This is the first matte that I've came across in the real palette, and again, a lot of them in the fake are sort of more on the matte side. Already we've came across shimmers and satins in the real one, but this is Sultry. I'm now on to Sophisticated, and to be honest, I like both of these colours very much, but in terms of formulation, the fake one is more of a creamy consistency, whereas the real one, I don't know if it's going to pick up on camera, the real one is more of a gritty feeling because it actually has flecks of gold going through it, like gold glitter. The fake one looks more of like a satiny effect, whereas the real one is more of a matte effect with a gold shimmer running through it. In all honesty, I prefer the fake colour over the real colour on this one. The formulation on the fake one is definitely more that draws to my sort of well, it just draws to me more. Yeah, the fake one definitely draws to me more, which is surprising to say, but unfortunately in some cases that's the case. I'm now on to Seductive, and the real one is such a lovely sort of bronzy gold colour, and the fake one there looks more like a mauvey pink sort of brown colour. I've got to say I do prefer the real one on this one. As soon as I swatched it, I was like, wow, you know, when you get that feeling, you just know. Yeah, it's really pretty there. I'm now on to Sexy, and I knew from the real palette that I was really going to love this colour, and true to it, I do love this colour. You can see just how off the colour is on this one. You definitely would know it was a fake if you swatched these two colours next to each other, and I really wish that I did now, but this isn't the colour that I swatched to figure out if it was real or fake. So this is Silly, and this is really silly. The fake palette there, as you can see, they haven't even tried, in my opinion. There's not a single fleck of glitter in that swatch, not at all, and neither in the palette. That is Silly just there, and you can see the shimmer in that Silly already. My god, you know, the reds and golds glitter in that Silly in the real palette is stunning. It really is. What on earth were these people thinking when they made that fake one? They clearly didn't study this very well at all. Now on to Serious. It is safe to say picking up the colour on a fake product really wasn't going to compare to the real one. Not a lot to say. This is just a matte black and a opaque grey. So the last one in this palette is called Sleek, and it is a very dark matte brown in the real palette, and it is just about a transitional shade in the fake palette. That's all the swatches from this palette. So I think it's safe to say that you guys will probably agree with me and thinking that the real one overall is obviously the better palette. I never understood why people would pay so much money for makeup or eyeshadow palettes or anything, and to be honest, I'm slowly understanding it, although I would never always go out of my way to spend a bit of money. I would only do it if it was a sort of occasion where I would like to splurge. But the funny thing is, even though the fake is obviously a fake, I reckon if they were just gonna sell it as a cheap palette for beginners or a cheap palette for people who don't want to spend a lot of money, they would probably get some really good reviews. But in terms of actually trying to imitate a copy of something that they haven't done a very good job at, that's the disappointing part. But nevertheless, so I really hope that you have enjoyed this video and it was very informative for you. Please, I urge you please to check your palettes. If you are suspecting that it's a real palette, just go and take a good look at it and see if it is real. Some of them are very good at copying and you paying stupid prices for something that isn't real. Unfortunately, Amber bought my product online and they done the same thing to her. It's not a nice thing. If you know you're buying a fake, it's not such a big deal, but when you think you're buying a real product, it's really not good. Again, as you've seen from the footage already, you can tell there's some similarities and differences. If you did enjoy this video and you found it informative, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I shall see you all in my next video. Bye guys!